what if the stories we were told as children, the ones scholars waved away as poetic exaggerations or moral allegories, were never meant to be metaphors at all, but warnings etched into memory by survivors of cataclysmic loss, whispers passed down across generations because the truth was too terrifying to forget? From the moment Plato first described Atlantis as a technologically advanced civilization swallowed by the sea in a single night of fire and earthquakes, humanity has been obsessed with the idea that entire worlds once existed where only water remains. And for centuries, these tales were dismissed as philosophical exercises, symbolic myths, or outright fabrications. Yet, despite academic rejection, the legends persisted across cultures from the biblical flood to Mesopotamian deluge, myths from the drowned lands of Doggerland beneath the North Sea to the sunken cities referenced in Hindu cosmology, all sharing a chillingly similar theme of advanced societies erased by sudden environmental collapse. And the reason these stories refuse to die may be because they are rooted in lived experience rather than imagination. For most of modern history, we lacked the means to verify such claims, unable to peer beneath miles of dark, crushing ocean water, forced to accept the surface of the sea as an impenetrable boundary between fact and fantasy. But that boundary has now been breached, not by divers or submarines alone, but by sound itself. And today we are standing at the edge of a paradigm shift where ancient myth collides with modern instrumentation, where folklore is no longer evaluated only through texts and tablets, but through data points, acoustic reflections, and geometric anomalies mapped across the ocean floor. And as we begin this journey into the abyss, ask yourself this: if entire civilizations were lost beneath the waves, why would humanity remember them at all unless their destruction was sudden, traumatic, and total? And if the ocean truly did swallow cities whole, would it not also preserve their bones in silence, waiting patiently for the right technology to listen? To understand how we are now uncovering what was once thought impossible, we must first understand the language of the deep ocean, a realm where light cannot survive, pressure can crush steel, and human senses are useless. Yet sound travels there with extraordinary efficiency, and sonar, which stands for sound navigation and ranging, has become the most powerful tool ever developed for revealing the unseen, sending controlled acoustic pulses, downward and measuring the time it takes for echoes to return, allowing scientists to construct detailed three-dimensional maps of the seafloor with astonishing precision. Unlike early single-beam sonar that provided only crude depth readings, modern multi-beam and side-scan sonar systems sweep wide swaths of terrain, capturing not just elevation but texture, reflectivity, and structural complexity. And it is within these data layers that the line between natural geology and artificial construction begins to emerge. Because nature rarely favors symmetry, straight lines, or repeating geometric forms, while human engineering depends on them. And when sonar returns reveal rectilinear patterns, right angles, terraced platforms, or uniform spacing inconsistent with tectonic or volcanic processes, researchers take notice. We have already proven Sonar's power through the discovery of thousands of shipwrecks once believed lost forever. From ancient Roman trade vessels to modern warships, each identified not by sight but by sound. And if sonar can detect a wooden hull buried beneath centuries of sediment, it can certainly detect stone foundations, roadways, and collapsed walls. Yet interpreting these echoes requires caution, expertise, and patience, because the ocean is a master of deception, sculpting rock into shapes that can mimic design, and it is here that skepticism and curiosity must coexist. As we begin to realize that sonar is not merely mapping the ocean floor, it is interrogating it, asking a question humanity has waited thousands of years to pose. What happened here? When sonar data is analyzed in detail, certain anomalies stand out like scars on the seabed, patterns that do not align with known geological processes, such as long, straight ridges intersecting at near-perfect angles, flat platforms rising abruptly from surrounding terrain, or reflective signatures suggesting worked stone rather than fractured bedrock. And these features become even more compelling when they appear clustered together, forming what looks less like random geology and more like deliberate spatial planning. Yet the ocean is an unforgiving archive, and time has layered these potential sites with sediment, coral growth, and biological activity that can blur or distort acoustic readings, making interpretation a formidable challenge, one that has historically divided researchers into believers and skeptics. However, the game has changed with the introduction of artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms capable of scanning vast sonar datasets for subtle patterns invisible to the human eye, comparing known natural formations against suspected artificial ones. and flagging statistical outliers for further investigation. And as these systems grow more sophisticated, they are beginning to isolate structures that defy conventional explanation, structures that appear to have been shaped, aligned, and positioned with intent. And while sonar alone cannot declare a city discovered, it can point with unnerving confidence to locations where the ocean floor tells a story of interruption, as if something once stood there and was violently removed, leaving behind acoustic ghosts that echo civilization rather than chaos. And the most unsettling question of all emerges not from what sonar reveals, but from what it implies. If these are indeed the remains of human construction, then the history of civilization is far older, more fragile, and more cyclical than we have ever been willing to admit. Among the most compelling examples of myth intersecting with measurable reality lies the volcanic caldera of Thera modern-day state, where one of the most powerful eruptions in recorded geological history obliterated the heart of the Minoan world, generating tsunamis that rippled across the Mediterranean, destabilizing coastal settlements and possibly inspiring flood myths that would later echo through Greek and Near Eastern texts and sonar mapping of submerged regions surrounding the caldera has revealed terraces, walls, and structured debris fields that suggest rapid urban collapse rather than gradual abandonment. Farther west, near the Bahamas, the enigmatic Bimini Road continues to defy simple explanation. A submerged alignment of massive stone blocks forming a linear pathway beneath shallow water, whose sonar signatures indicate deliberate placement and uniform dimensions inconsistent with random fracture patterns. And while debate rages over whether it is a natural beach rock formation or the remnant of human engineering, its existence underscores a larger truth that cannot be ignored. The ocean floor is littered with features we do not yet understand, from the Yonaguni Monument off Japan to submerged structures detected near India's Gulf of Comhat, all sharing characteristics that blur the line between geology and archaeology. And whether every site ultimately proves artificial is almost beside the point, because their discovery forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that sea levels, climate stability, and coastal habitation have erased entire chapters of human development. Chapters remembered only as myth, because no survivors remained to write them down, leaving behind only echoes, waiting beneath the waves. As we stand on the threshold of deeper exploration, the future of underwater archaeology is both exhilarating and fraught with responsibility. because discovering a submerged site is only the beginning, and excavation risks irreversible damage to fragile structures preserved by isolation, raising ethical questions about whether some places should remain untouched, studied only through non-invasive imaging and remote analysis. While advances in autonomous underwater vehicles and remotely operated drones promise unprecedented access to depths once considered unreachable. Equipped with high-resolution sonar, photogrammetry systems, and real-time data transmission that will allow researchers to explore without disturbing the seabed. And as technology accelerates, so too does the realization that our understanding of history is incomplete, biased toward what survived above water and dismissive of what did not. And perhaps the greatest discovery awaiting us is not a single city or monument, but a pattern, a recurring cycle of rise, collapse, and submersion that reshapes civilization again and again, reminding us that progress is not linear, permanence is an illusion, and the ocean is the ultimate archivist, keeping its secrets until humanity learns how to listen. And if this journey into the abyss has made you question what else lies hidden beneath our feet and waves, then you are exactly where you need to be, because here at Mr. Whispers Official, we explore the shadows of history, the echoes of forgotten worlds, and the truths that refuse to stay buried. So if you're ready to keep uncovering the mysteries others are afraid to ask about, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us. Because the deepest secrets of our past are still whispering, and we are just beginning to hear them.